seemed like I had 3 guys on me. You know, I was being pulled back. I'm not sure what was going on with them, but it felt like nobody had any hold on him. And he just kept coming at me with his arm, you know. And I was just trying to get him off me.
Back on your afternoon drive, it's the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell and Renee Danino live from the Special Olympics Connecticut Hall of Fame dinner at the AquaTurf Country Club. And we have a special guest now, all the way back from Hong Kong. Shane Fitzsimons joins us. He'll be getting the Eunice Murtha Award here tonight. And tell us a little bit about yourself, though. I mean, I'm fascinated by, you know, you're coming back and forth, you know, between Ohio, Connecticut, and now you live in Hong Kong. What brings you back for the Connecticut Special Olympics tonight?
Yeah, so look, my heritage is I was born in Ireland, actually Belfast. Went to live in the Netherlands actually for 11 years, kind of when I started to work, and then kind of ended up in the U.S. in 2000 actually. Came to Connecticut, actually met Bo at that time with the Special Olympics here through the golf tournament we used to run at GE as a player. Then I headed out to Ohio for 4 years and came back actually to lead the team that was responsible for the golf tournament, and Bo and I kind of stayed connected, and you know the golf tournament's been going on for 30 years and that's kind of the connection. And then about 6 years ago my job moved me to Hong Kong with GE, and Bo and the team here have done a good job kind of keeping me in touch and giving me things to do even despite the distance kind of location. So my travels are such that I'm kind of, you know, I do about 200 flights a year. I'm in the U.S.
Wow.
Dang, man.
Wow, that's a lot of flying.
That's more than every other day.
So I can trade air miles. There's no question.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm back in the U.S. probably once a month. You know, it's a 16-hour flight each way, and when you're here, you kind of like to make use of the time. And you know, staying connected when you're overseas is even more important to kind of keep your network kind of activated, because you know someday we'll be back, and we want to go right back to kind of what we were doing. So.
I've always known about the Special Olympics, about the United States Special Olympics. Really, to find out that there's the World Games for me about a few years ago, knowing that there's Special Olympics, World Games, and I don't know if it's because I'm so ethnocentric and thinking the United States all the way, that we are the best at Special Olympics and everything else. What is it like in other countries? Give us a worldly perspective of the Special Olympics.
So look, Special Olympics is amazing everywhere, and you just have to go to the World Games to see that. I was at the last World Game, actually 2 of the last World Games, the Winter Games in Korea and the Summer Games in Athens. And you know, you've got 160, maybe 170 countries represented. My actual own inspiration here for the Special Olympics actually came from the first World Games, which I believe was in Dublin in 2003, that my parents were involved in terms of hosting one of the nations participating in that. And it's great to see. I was actually back home with my parents last weekend, and you know, they're still in touch with the athletes and the coaches, you know, from what's that, 14, 15 years ago.
Wow.
And that's really the special piece. You know, I met the Hong Kong team when I was at the World Games. They had about 400 participants, right? You know, it's a country of about 8 million people, and you go right the way across the globe, and you know, most countries are represented, and those that aren't are trying to be. So it's great in terms of inclusion and other things, and you know, sports a tremendous kind of leveling field, and it's really terrific. The immensity of the Special Olympics actually outside the U.S. it's really terrific.
Talking to Shane Fitzsimons, he'll be receiving the Eunice Murtha Award. Tell us more about your relationship with Bo Doherty. I've met him through the Dream Ride. You say he keeps you in touch with what's going on back here, but you met him how long ago? About
17 years ago. You know, Bo has to be one of the great networkers that I've met. I always say it's hard to say no to Bo. And I think when you kind of work with Bo, what you realize is when you're having a conversation with him, you're the only person having a conversation with him. And he has that unique ability to engage and inspire. And, you know, I mean, when you enter any kind of new kind of venture or new experience, you're a little bit, you know, nervous about, you know, what you do and how it works. And, you know, he was just that kind of big bear hug that kind of brings you in and say, you know, learn as you go, and, you know, very, very supportive, and just an amazing individual, really.
One way that a lot of our demographic on ESPN Radio gets involved with charities and special events like this, the guys with ties love the golf tournaments, man. And I know that a lot of people listening are probably thinking about this golf tournament coming up that you guys have hosted for so long. Talk about the future of the golf tournament. What's really going on with that?
Yeah, so I'm not involved in the golf tournament anymore. Just it's really the team here in GE in Connecticut would run that now, and obviously I'm out of the picture of that. As I said, we've done about 30 years. Really amazing. The retirees come back; they love it. It's always just a tremendous event, and we did some things, with Bo and myself in terms of changing some of the things. We introduced the athletes to kind of help us, and that was really an amazing experience. So we'd have one athlete would drive out, join the team, and drive off on one hole. I always remember my first time doing that. It was an athlete called Mike. Bo told me he was pretty good. I was actually playing pretty well at that point, and I kind of got up in the tee and said, well, I'm going to make sure I hit one well down the middle, and I did. I was quite proud of myself, and I can hit the ball a long way, so might not always be straight, but it goes a long way, and I think Mike outdrove me about 50 yards.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really an amazing experience, and he did it team after team, right? And it was just a great way for the team at GE to interact with the athletes in the event, and I think that was a great addition to what we did. And then some of the athletes and their families would join the dinner afterwards and other things, and just terrific.
So how long are you back here for?
I'm actually only in the U.S. for 4 days.
Wow.
So I was in Europe last week. I did a quick stopover to see my parents in Ireland. They're not
How are they doing?
Younger. They're doing okay. Everybody gets old, right? So and it's hard with your, my siblings are all pretty distributed. Other than my sister, one of us, I live in Hong Kong. My other brother lives in Melbourne, and my other brother lives in Chicago. So my parents kind of wonder, what did they do wrong? But
could you guys get any farther away from us?
Really?
Yeah. So so we make a real effort as we're moving around to try and stop in and see them, and they're doing well. So I'm in Europe, or went from there. I arrived to New York yesterday, and I'm off to Boston, I think, tomorrow, and hopefully be back in Hong Kong sometime on Saturday. So
how does this event stack up to all the other fancy events that you've been to around the world? I mean, we're going to have 1,000 people here. The room's beautiful. There's a lot of great people in the room. How does it stack up?
Yeah, this team always does an amazing job. I think you're beginning to see it now. It's really, these events are really inspiring. I didn't mention that I was involved with Team Connecticut at the last national games. So the way the Special Olympics works is there's a U.S. Games, and then the next 2 years is a World Games, and it kind of goes and it alternates kind of like that. So I worked with Bo and others to kind of help lead the Team Connecticut, I guess, for the last games, or maybe the games before, and just the events and everything that they put on around that to create a spirit of community and inclusion and excitement around the game. Just tremendous. So it's great to be able to participate with the teams as well, and that's been one of the big learning experiences for me, which has been terrific.
Well, Shane, thanks for sharing your story, and congratulations on the Eunice Murtha Award. I'm sure it's well deserved, but as we're learning, nobody really wants the awards. They want to work with the athletes, and they want to do as much as they possibly can. So thank you so much, and God bless you, and safe travels.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right. So that was Shane Fitzsimons. He'll be getting the Eunice Murtha Award a little bit later on tonight. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I know some of the athletes are waiting. Hopefully he will show up if he can get here on time. Apollo Crews, WWE superstar, is set to join us in about 15 minutes. So stay tuned. We got a lot more coming your way on the Rob Dibble Show on 97.9 ESPN, ESPN 1300.